Wow, that was one of the most powerful interviews I've ever done. That is Veritas with Mark Moreno. Now, coming up in a few minutes, we're going to be talking to Wayne Madsen with some breaking news. But first, look, I've not been a birther. Going back 4 years ago when Obama started campaigning, people said, hey, this guy ain't an American. I'm like, listen, he's a gun grabber. I'm against him. I don't want to get into where he's from. But over the years, sealing the high school records, the college records, the freaking out, the demonization, the earlier, 3 years ago, fake birth certificate they put out, and then the latest one, something is going on here. And then a federal judge ruled just a few weeks ago, it doesn't matter if he has a fake Social Security number. He can go forward. And then today, WorldNet Daily and others reported that they did the online check, the E-Verify that we've even done with employees here, and it said, listen, this Social Security number is questionable, fraud is involved. This guy can't even pass a basic business background check. He never lived in Connecticut. We know that's a fake Social Security number assigned to him. Why would the system want to put an illegal alien, like his uncle who's about to get deported, in power? Why would they want to do this? Because they can blackmail him. They've got him by the short hairs. That's what's going on here. It's very, very simple. Obama is a teleprompter reading puppet. I could care less. He's a distraction. But at the end of the day, he's a 21st century latest model of a puppet who is totally and completely compromised. With more on the plunging fortunes of the corporate frontman Barack Obama, we're joined by Wayne Madsen, who's a Navy anti-submarine warfare expert, worked for the National Security Agency, RCA. He has reported from Capitol Hill for decades on national security issues and broken some of the biggest stories concerning illegal spying on the American people and other national security issues. Well, he's somebody who is more progressive, and it was certainly not attacking Barack Obama because he was some Republican with an axe to grind. But he has been to Chicago. He has been to Jakarta, Indonesia. He has been all over the world tracking the real identity and providence of Barack Hussein Obama, a.k.a. Barry Soetoro, or back to a.k.a. Barack Obama. And we've now seen the reports that WorldNet Daily and others have run. E-Verify flags Obama's Social Security number out of Connecticut as probably fraudulent. It's been admitted that he did not live in Connecticut and should not have been issued one. We know his mother worked for the CIA. And Wayne Madsen has broken a lot of the research that others later pick up and sometimes misrepresent. So he joins us to talk about the incredible developments when he was in Indonesia, where they tried to block him every step of the way. Same thing happened with Jerome Corsi in Kenya. And then, of course, the Kenyan government has now released their national security letter when George W. Bush was sending letters trying to find out about the providence of Barack Obama. And they wrote back to the White House and said, look, whoever he is, it's been erased out of the records here. It's been destroyed, so there is a cover-up. So cover-up, just like with Nixon and the plumbers and Watergate, is the evidence of the crime 99% of the time. Truly a Manchurian candidate. Joining us from D.C., where he's back visiting, is Wayne Madsen, traveling the world. Wayne, let's start out with Obama and what you've discovered.
Well, I spent almost a month in Jakarta, Indonesia. This is, of course, where Obama lived after his mother took him there in 1967. He was 6 years old. The minute I arrived in Jakarta, it was quite clear that I was being followed around. I had, for example, I had an interview scheduled with Obama's school teacher. She's quite old now. But that interview was canceled at, the very last minute. It was quite clear that the embassy was sending people around to dissuade people from talking to me. Now, I did manage to talk to quite a few people, even with that kind of pressure. But the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta is in total cover-up mode on behalf of Obama. We also know that he... on his mother's passport application to have her passport renewed, she listed Obama's name as Barack Obama, and then there was this name Sobarka that had then been sort of crossed out. It's very apparent that in Indonesia people use one name, Suharto, Sukarno, and it looks like Sobarka was more than likely the Indonesian name given to Barack Obama. So the mere fact that it came to me from government sources in Indonesia, Indonesian government sources, that Mr. Obama never did get his U.S. citizenship back after his legal guardian, Lolo Sitoro, renounced it so he could attend 2 schools there. And the law at the time, and I have a copy of the law in Indonesian, which I'm trying to get certifiably translated to English, specifically states, it's a 1958 law, you must be an Indonesian citizen to attend both the Menteng Elementary School, where he that's the last school he went to, and before that, the St. Franciscus Academy, a Catholic school. In both cases, only Indonesian citizens could attend those schools. So he was, he had to be legally an Indonesian citizen. Indonesia does not recognize dual citizenship. So
and Wayne, this is bombshell, and I want you to elaborate on it for those that don't know, because if you give up your U.S. citizenship to become an Indonesian citizen, you can't later then become a U.S. president. So I want you to comment on that.
Right, and even if Obama did get his U.S. citizenship restored, that would change his status from natural born to a native born American citizen, and the Constitution is quite specific. Only a natural born citizen can serve as president or vice president of the United States. So with that broken citizenship, this kind of takes this puts the focus really on the citizenship issue and not the birth certificate. Let's say he was born in Hawaii. Even though he was born in Hawaii and was a natural born citizen, the mere fact that he was an Indonesian citizen, U.S. citizenship renounced, and he may not have gotten his U.S. citizenship restored, if ever, legally, after the age of 18. He could have done it. I mean, you can't hold him responsible for the actions of his mother and his stepfather, but he had to declare his U.S. citizenship once again before he reached the age of 18. There's every indication that that was not done, and I think that now puts the focus on who assigned him this fraudulent Social Security number from Connecticut.
Well, we know, Wayne, from day one, he has this meteoric rise. Clearly CIA on both sides of the family.
Yeah.
We've gone over all that in long interviews in the past. But now they've brought out the obviously fake new birth certificate. Then they produced the bin Laden rabbit out of a hat trick. But still, he's got one of the lowest approval ratings, well, the lowest ever recorded this far in, and plunging so fast. What do you think the establishment's planning to do with Barack Obama, who they gave the Peace Prize to, where they did everything for? They were clearly planning on him being a messianic leader to sell us tyranny, but their precious creation has blown up in their face. So what comes next, and what else did you learn on your travels?
Well, I personally, I think Obama's going to get another 4 years. We know that these electronic voting machines are fixed, and so there are methods by which they can ensure that he's going to be reelected. I mean, I would note that the polling here in Virginia shows him tied with the Republican candidate. Well, I mean, Virginia hadn't voted Democratic since 1964 for LBJ until it voted for Obama in 2008. I can tell you that Obama is extremely unpopular here in Virginia, and I don't know how these polls are being conducted or who they're asking, but I think the fix is in. I think he's going to have another 4 years because they're very comfortable with this guy. He's doing everything that they want him to do. I would also note that when I was in Indonesia last year, a movie was produced based on a book, and I'm going to hold it up here. It's called Little Obama. And this book and the movie I discovered was funded by the United States government It was supposed to come out concurrent with Obama's first state visit to Indonesia, but he canceled 2 visits to Indonesia, so they had to release it without Obama present. But when the movie was first produced, it was screened by the U.S. ambassador and the embassy staff, the CIA's political officer at the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta, and they demanded that 2 scenes be removed from that movie when Obama was there as a kid. One was his pledge of allegiance to the Indonesian flag and his singing the national anthem of Indonesia in Indonesian, I would add, and also his praying in a Muslim chapel at the Menteng Elementary School.
Yeah, so this guy is a complete shadow government CIA cutout, and I agree with you, the establishment likes Obama because he'll take all the hatred and blame for them, and we're seeing a lot of cooked and manipulated polls, or when Ron Paul wins a poll, the Wall Street Journal won't even show his name. MSNBC's done the same thing. The entire system is afraid of Ron Paul, but expanding on that, the war he launched in Libya, where I know you visited, without congressional approval, the super Congress taking the power of the purse and handing it over to the president. We've got Fast and Furious, from your work in the government, NSA, Iran-Contra, all of it. Looking at Fast and Furious, tens of thousands of guns into Mexico. We now learned drug gangs in Chicago, in Tampa, into Honduras. Now it's come out in federal court, confirmed, El Paso Times, Chicago Tribune, with the federal document, that these drug kingpins that are getting busted are declaring, we work for ATF and CIA, and the government's coming in and saying it's true, release them. I mean, this is even bigger than Iran-Contra, and it just shows how criminal these people are. What's your view on Fast and Furious?
Well, I think what we're seeing play out here is what we saw during the Bush administration, the implementation of the strategy of tension. These people do not want peace, whether it's in the Middle East or in Mexico or Central America or anywhere, North Africa. They want war because they profit from war. The IMF and World Bank profit from these situations where these governments are overthrown, destabilized, economies are ruined. Look, the people say that George Soros is this great progressive. Look at his background. He's done nothing but short national currencies. He went after the rupiah in Indonesia about 20 years ago. He also went after the Malaysian currency and the Thai currency. The whole
well, he says he's having a good crisis and makes jokes about people starving, and he's anti-gun, anti-family. I mean, if there's something evil out there, he's behind it, and he's also bragging right now that, hey, you're going to have to give a total economic dictatorship to the banks that engineered the collapse of Europe, or we'll have a worldwide depression. I mean, it's so transparent what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, he supposedly controls things from the left, although he's not from the left. And Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch, on the other side, he controls things over there. So what we have are these wealthy super billionaire elites running the show and plunging countries into war and economic disaster just by snapping their fingers
and creating the illusion creating the illusion of a choice between them. So you think Obama will get away with all the power grabs, and then when some new president comes in after him, that'll just continue? I certainly hope you're wrong, Wayne, but this is disgusting.